We are super excited to be joined today by former Arizona Coyotes goalie and current Dallas Stars goalie who is in town to play the Arizona Coyotes this week, Scott Wedgewood. Scott, thank you so much for joining the PHNX Coyotes podcast. Welcome back.
Yeah, I know, right? It's been good to be back. Good to see you guys.
Wedgie, thanks for doing this. And there's a lot of ground to cover here with you because a lot has happened in your life since you were here. So I want to ask you, first of all, about Texas, which can be an acquired taste. What have you discovered about life in Dallas? Where you live in? Have you been to Cowboys games, I should say? Have you tried the barbecue?
Yes, no, and yes. No, it's been good. Honestly, I think for whatever reason, I've been, fortunate enough wherever I've gone, kind of run into good people. Same story when I was here, and now obviously in Dallas, it's been a good vibe for Brett and I. I think anywhere we've gone, we kind of found, a good group to kind of communicate with. We've got friends that have actually moved to Dallas from outside of the hockey world that has been nice on off days to kind of get away from the mix of it all and kind of separate. And then actually renting Blake Coleman's house. He and I played together probably 4 or 5 years through Jersey, and then won the cup together in Tampa. And they built themselves a home up in by the practice rink in Frisco, and kind of just worked. Britt and I weren't sure what we wanted to do, live by kind of thing, and sent him a message. And I'm like, hey, I know what's new. Are you interested? And it kind of worked for him. So, I mean, we got a great spot there with what they did. It's an amazing home. And then the food's been great. Honestly, I haven't really had a bad meal that we've gone anywhere. Lunch, breakfast, dinner. Haven't hit all the number one barbecue joints yet, but the stuff that I have had is no joke.
Have you been to Lockhart's?
No, I haven't.
Oh, Lockhart Smokehouse, buddy. So I walked into this place. I was covering ASU and Notre Dame at Jerry World, and we went to Lockhart's because somebody gave us a rec. And the guy that's like, it felt like he was 100 yards back from the counter. That was just literally carving giant sides of meat.
Really?
Look at you, go like, how much you want? And this guy has like this ZZ Top beard, and he has a beard net to cover it so it doesn't get in your food.
Oh,
He's literally just like sawing off pieces of meat, but it is so good.
Yeah, we had friends coming to town, I guess, on Netflix's one show, I forget what it's called. There's like a 80 or 90-year-old lady out in Waco that does like a smokehouse thing. She's been running for a decade times 6. And apparently like they wanted to go out there. They didn't end up going, but it's only like 2.5 hours away. So that's also on the list before we get out of town at some point.
Nice. So I had earlier today, I spoke to Chris Canali.
Oh, nice.
Your former goalie coach. He's TJ Semptenfelter's goalie coach who's playing at ASU right now.
Oh, wow.
And he asked me if I happen to know another one of his former, pupils, Scott Wedgewood. I'm like, yeah, we're having him on the podcast today. So he's like, all right, I got to give you a couple pieces of intel on him. First of all, I understand you're a bit of a pool shark.
I mean, I can play. I don't know if I consider myself a pool shark,
okay, so but better than Chris.
Well, he's got one in his house, if I remember correctly, and I stayed with him. I forget what the reason was, but I ended up staying in his son's room. His son was out of town or something. He had like bunk beds. I took one of the other bunk beds, and at this point in my life, I was scared of dogs a little bit still. Like, didn't really trust them. And middle of the night, it's like 2 a.m., and his dog, I guess, knew how to open doors. And just jumps up, opens the door opens, shadow of a dog comes in from the hallway light, and I'm like kind of nervous, and dog just laid down or whatever. I told Chris in the morning, he goes, yeah, he said he'll do that, he'll like protect the kid, but the kid wasn't there, and I guess he was just protecting me or whatever. But like from 2 to 2:30 when this dog was just laying there, I'm like, I'm dead, this thing's gonna eat me. It was a family, like I don't even know what he had, like a golden retriever or something, but no, he was actually invited to my wedding this past summer too, and was unfortunately couldn't make it up there. But no, he's an amazing guy. I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, we'll get to that wedding in a minute. One more thing, I noticed here you're sporting quite a bit of facial hair, so I had to ask you about Chris Lamorello and the rule that was in place with the Devils organization.
Yeah, they. I think it was Chris and his dad. Lou. It was one of the things when we got drafted. It was no real long hair and no beards, and I can't remember correctly if it was what military school that Lou went to, but at some point in his collegiate time, he went through a school that was pretty strict in timing and stuff like that, and he ran the team that way. It was even for players, you couldn't jersey tuck, you couldn't wear like long skate laces out of your pants that some guys would do. It was the sock was red with black and white stripes on the sock. You could use red clear tape around the red spots and black around the black spots, or only clear, but you can't cross in the front. There's a lot of just as a team, as we were a team, you can't do things on your own. Like you can be, an individual in your skill set, but as a team, we're going to look the same. Always on the road. Like we never had, the casual days that Arizona had. That would never be a thing. I remember a couple of guys got called up one time and they got out of a car after just getting a car service from Albany up, and they were just in regular street clothes. And he was like, "This is the National Hockey League. Where's your polos and stuff?" And as soon as we heard that down below, no one ever got called up again without, business casual for sure. But you respect it. And he's been one of the, greatest GMs and having guys' backs too. I think that was one thing that I really appreciated from him. You can go up to him with any problem in your life, and Chris or Lou would have your back. And, as long as you didn't do anything that was, out of their view of what was right and wrong. But they've been big supporters of their own players. And, I think that goes a long way too with how they ran their ship.
I got a question for you on the beard. I'm sorry. I'm going to follow up a beard question. Yeah, and Craig and I, clearly not at this level, Wedgie, but Craig and I both tended the net a long time ago. Isn't that itchy underneath your lid? Isn't that scratch and bother you? I see some of these long beards. I don't know how it gets in how guys play with that.
I don't wear a chin cup.
Oh, you don't?
No, it's called a chin sling. It was a thing I got from, who had it? I forget who I ran into. I don't know if it was Scott Clemenson when he came down with me, but so there's two versions you have. You always have the chin cup that just sits on you, and I always had it where it was super tight and I couldn't really talk and stuff. And it's just a secondary, almost same as the patty and the mask, but it just slings the whole thing and doesn't allow it to come down. So my chin's actually free. But I mean, there's still guys that wear the chin cup with it. But that was never fun. I mean, the worst part,
not comfortable.
I'd get the red bumps, and then you sweat the next day in the neck guard. I used to put different material in my neck guard because it used to just you had to shave every day, and I don't know.
Yeah, well, in Jersey, you had to shave, and then you got you get the red bumps, and you get just a big. See, these are the problems we find out at PHNX, where we find out about the difficulties of wearing a mask with a beard or shaving every day.
Yeah, there you go.
This is next level content right here. So the story when you were here, Scott, was your search for stability after a somewhat nomadic career. So let's hear about a really cool offseason for you. Not only did you sign a 2-year contract extension in June with the Dallas Stars, you got married. That was quite a summer for you.
Yeah, it was, it was obviously, I think for us, as a, a family couple, and we only got 2 dogs, but we can call ourselves a family. But, we'd been bounced around, and you guys know the story, 3 teams last year, 5 teams in 2.5, 3 years there with the trades and signings and things like that. It just was one of the only kind of real criteria as I kind of came into, discussions with Dallas was I would just multiple years. And then it got to the point where it's how long do you go without betting on yourself to potentially do better kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But no, the 2 years was huge. I think just kind of let you get at ease. It was the first time I ever showed up to a camp with an address, instead of just going to camp and be in the team hotel and wait until they give you a housing letter and you got to find a spot. And I mean, even 2 years ago with Corey Crawford retiring that year, I wasn't anticipating being there kind of thing. Right. So it was obviously your goal at all the time, but it was just a matter of, having the kind of the paper and the contract behind it was a big, plus and kind of a little bit of an ease on the mind. And then obviously, we've been married on paper since March of 2020, and COVID shut that down and things like that. So we were able to get, the whole family together. We had 175 guests and family I hadn't seen in a long time. And, Britt's family, either one of us haven't met certain cousins and aunts and uncles and stuff. So it was a quick day, but it was obviously nice to kind of get, a lot of faces to names and see people you haven't seen in a long time.
Where was the wedding?
It's called Elora, Ontario. It's between Guelph and Kitchener. It's an old mill an old gorge. So they turned into a mill and spa. It's a nice spot. A few other guys are getting married there over the next couple of years in the league, and just one of those spots a little bit outside of the GTA that's not downtown, and I think pretty central to most people's relatives and stuff. It's a good spot.
So how are Captain and Bucky adjusting to Texas?
Did you look that up?
I had to go back in the story. I knew I wrote it up, but I honestly did not remember your dogs' names off the top of my head.
No, they're good. I mean, last year, Britt and her father drove them from Michigan to Arizona, then Arizona. She drove them Arizona to Dallas, and then I drove them home, and she had a girls' trip, so she got out of the last leg of it. But we drove them down again, and Blake's house is a good backyard space, and areas for them to run around in a pool. So they've been in the pool a few times, and it was hot in early September. But no, they're good. I mean, they're pretty easy. Captain's a lot easier than Bucky. Bucky's got some energy, but yeah, they're they're there for her more than me when I'm gone. But it's been a good fit. They're entertaining. I think anybody that loves dogs obviously knows that when you have them around, it's a little bit less, kind of like having a kid, right? You just leave the good and the bad at the rink and just come home and hang out with them.
I want to talk about the season so far. Dallas is on top of the Central Division, which has been surprising to some people, but what seems to be clicking right now for the Stars?
I think we're just having fun. I mean, that's kind of been almost like not a cliche, but just something that over the last few years, I think a lot of guys have kind of made the comments of just like, who knew like hockey could be this fun kind of thing throughout the room. And there wasn't much of a change in the locker room from guy to guy. You added in Marchment, Colin Miller, and I'm trying to think of who else we added that wasn't here last year. Delandry was up full time. Wyatt Johnson came in. But other than that, I mean, it's the same lineup. So, I mean, you guys got we have a lot of connections and inside jokes and things like that have kind of made it easy. And the new systems kind of fit into the guys playing well and obviously getting off to a hot start and winning, obviously, pays dividends in that. But I think I think kind of what you just said, like it kind of, people weren't sure what we were looking at paper. You go, they could be a good team. They could be a bad team. But once we get on the ice and kind of how the lines meshed and we played throughout the game, it all kind of just keeps rolling. You can roll 4 lines, and I think having a team where you're not reliant on just the top guys to do a job, the 3 other lines have done a tremendous job so far, and it just makes everyone else's life a little bit easier.
You look at your goaltending partner in Jake Oettinger. He's 23 years old. He really came to the forefront in last year's playoffs, where he was outstanding in his playoffs last season. Comes in as the presumptive number 1. What's that relationship been like for you? You're 30 years old. You've been around the league. You've played in a lot of places. Do you feel like you help him through the pro ranks and you've been almost like an advisor? Or what's that relationship like between you and Jake?
I don't know how to put like a quote unquote title onto it, but I think just for him and I think, on like a personal level, we get along. And when I came in last year, I kind of said a few times that like, I'm not even here to take your job. Like I just want my own. I haven't really had my own. It's been a fight for my life kind of thing. I've been trying to keep my head above water and continue to do well in the league. I've had, great spurts and kind of just contracts I've lost to and things like that. So when I came in, like any of us, he just wanted to be in the net every night. And I think almost a situation last year where I came in and played, I think 7 games down the stretch of maybe 12 or 13. I forget what the number was, but he almost kind of realized in a sense too, at a young age, like I'm just going to burn myself out and I can't continue to play at a high level if I'm going every night. And, it's a grinding schedule. And I think almost just the way it kind of fit in at the end of the year, how it was like, okay, we need to work with each other and help each other out. It almost just kind of paved a nice kind of, cement or road work for us. It built that kind of building block. And then throughout the summer, we were talking back and forth. We were both going through contract talks and stuff. And with Jeff Reese, we all, had a good little 3-man circle there. And coming to this year, he's obviously started on an elite level, and unfortunate that he's out for a little bit here. But I think it's just kind of, talking to him the other day, he's just like, dude, watching you from up top. But he even came up to me today. He's like, you made a couple saves look that easy. He's like, man, you're not going to make it that look that easy. Like, challenge us a little bit. So it's just, he's got a great head on his shoulder. I think he kind of sees that he can be an elite goaltender. I mean, you don't want to be cocky either, but he's also, proving right now that, he's going to be a stud for a long time. And I think just kind of on a day-to-day basis, I love to work, and we play a little bit of a different style with the size of him, but it's fun just to kind of bounce things off each other and watch each other go to work. And I think just, if he can continue to do what he does and, I can pull my weight, we'll have a great time and a good spot for this team to kind of make playoffs and make a run.
You mentioned that he's out right now with that injury, so you might have to carry a little bit of the load for a bit here. You got your first win, which is great. What would you say is the state of your game right now?
I think just, building off some confidence to the last win. I think the Toronto game I started with, I had a great showing and unfortunate overtime loss. And then I think between the Ottawa and the period and a half and the Rangers, I'd played, 6 of 8 great periods. And, Ottawa, I held on for a long time and couple shots beat me, and it's a case of the game. And sometimes you gotta let those go, and then going into a tough spot with the the injury in the Ranger game. Trying to hold on to a team there in the third, and it's a team game at the end of the day. I think we all know that. But as a goaltender, you obviously feel a little bit more of the burden in certain situations, and it's early. I think I was a little bit tougher on myself than I needed to be through 8 periods and 0-2-1 record. But obviously building off some confidence of the guys. Last game and playing and winning. It's just it kind of gets that monkey off your back to get the first one and just kind of settle down the outside thoughts and just kind of continue to roll.
So last season when you were here, there was a lot of, I don't want to say the word drama, but surrounding your mask. It took forever to get, your new mask design. And now you have another new mask, obviously, for the Stars. So what can you tell us about the details in your new mask design for Dallas?
Yeah, that's always a fun one. I actually got to make up another one now because my backup currently is Arizona's taped over from last year, and then the Arizona backup was the Jersey one taped over from. So it's a continuing circle here. I got to get 2 for Dallas, but no, I actually sat down and obviously put the Marvel theme to work that I'm a big fan of, and I added in Captain America's silver star and his 3 stripes from the Winter Soldier movie. I just switched out the star for the Dallas Stars logo. And then obviously green character with the Hulk, I added him on one side, and then I got Bucky, obviously Winter Soldier, as one of my dogs too. So you got Captain and Bucky on there, and I took the Winter Soldier's arm and just changed the red star for a green one just because I could, and then kind of tied it all in with Dave Art over there in Sweden. He does a great job, and they got the Captain Bucky shield on the back, family initials, Canadian flag, just kind of some of the staples that most guys have. But it's not as easy as you think. I was playing with like Stranger Things ideas for another mask here in Dallas and changing like the red fog to green, but then I look and Cam Talbot had done a Stranger Thing mask a little bit different than what I'd want to do, but I'm like, is that kind of annoying to step on other guys' toes? And then the Ninja Turtle mask, they're green guys. I think I went on like pop culture, like green characters, and I was looking at Shrek, and it was everything you could have.
Oh wow!
There could be some good ones though, like Shrek when he's like "Stay out of my swamp," you just put "Stay out of me crease." I think that would be cool.
I like it.
This is great stuff. I hadn't even thought about the possibility of like goalies worrying that they're stealing from each other in terms of mask art. Like after a while, you run out of material.
Well, that's why you're a little bit envious. Like Marty and Eddie Belfour, they just had the same one on a different team, and they never had to think about it. Just change it to blue or change it to whatever color works. So it's just kind of I think Marty would like add his dogs in or whatever, his kids' faces and stuff, but it was the same design for pretty much his whole career.
Scott, how important was it for you to play those games with the Coyotes last season in building your resume toward this point? And do you think it helped lead to this contract?
Oh, 100%. I mean, that waiver wire claim was another lifeline per se for me. In Jersey the year before, I had a good year, didn't get a contract note from them. They brought in Bernier, and Blackwood wasn't healthy to start the year. Then Bernier got hurt. So it was kind of like, the writing was on the wall there with the 2 contracts, and then, veteran, and then the guy that they were obviously putting a lot of faith in Blackwood. And when they both got healthy, and then another injury came up, though, we're not going to put you on waivers for a little bit. Then that night we got 2 injuries and I'm on waivers and kind of sitting there and like, okay, well, if I go down, I'll hit all 7 upstate New York teams, and had everyone but Utica for my minor career there. But obviously Coyotes showed up, and there's an opportunity to come in and play, and I played well, and I honestly, relish in the chance of every night I had to show up for the team to have a good chance at winning and be a big part of it. And kind of relished in that role a little bit. It was fun for me. I think obviously some nights were a little bit tougher than others, but we had kind of an underdog story the whole year. But when I played well, and obviously the games I played against Dallas were pretty much what they said to me when they got me, like, we couldn't beat you, so why not get you? And they opened a door, and obviously those games and a lot of what the players in the Yotes uniform for a couple of years have been doing is playing to show what they have, and the team's been building and getting picks and trying to build a team in the future. So it's pretty much exactly what happened. I played well and opened up some eyes around the league, and earned a spot on another team, and then earned myself a contract when I got to Dallas.
I know you thought that you might be re-signing here. Your agent thought so. Are you in a better situation here? Look, everybody knows what's happening with the Coyotes right now with the rebuild. Is this just a better situation for you in Dallas right now?
I mean, obviously, you could what if anything. I think, with the stability I got, I think that was one thing. It was only going to be probably a year deal there. And And then it was kind of, what happens next year? If you start off hot, or you traded again by the time, November comes. And that was one thing I didn't really want to deal with again. I think that was kind of more of the issue, but I wanted to play. And at that time, it was the only, only card on the table was to re-sign or wait for free agency before the trade came. But I mean, I honestly really love my time there. I still talk to a lot of the staff and everyone. And I mean, I've been there, through it twice in 17, and then obviously last year with the Oats, and they've kind of saved me from the American League twice and gave me a chance to play. So it's always a good spot, and we obviously enjoyed our time there. But I think coming here and with the team we got and the group I'm a part of, everything's fit. I'm sure there's situations I could relish in anywhere throughout the league, but yeah, no, playing here and with this group right now, it feels like home. Everything's kind of fit. Like I said at the start of the call here, there's been some good people that we've met and found a good spot to live and stuff like that. And it's all kind of just fell into a nice little full circle for me. And we do feel at home, so it's been a really good fit.
You look at what you did here, and you're the answer to a trivia question. You stopped 2 11-game losing streaks to start a season for a same franchise several years apart. That's absolutely astounding to me.
Waiting for that X factor, and
it's unbelievable. Like, you literally can't write that story, but you said it, and how important Arizona was to you to get your career jumpstart, and how important you've been to this franchise and digging them all out of the doldrums, not just once, but twice. My question, I know you mentioned you talk to the staff. When you're part of a team, that's your family, and you guys are so close. But then you go to another family and another team. Do you still keep in touch with the players? How does that relationship go especially when you come back into town? Do you reach out to some of the guys, and do you connect, or do you skate around tomorrow and at the warm-ups? Do you give a tap on the shin pads to somebody, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think on a personal level, I find that I'm almost kind of like a guy that doesn't really like text first per se, and like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'll talk to Britt. Will call her friends once a week and have an hour-long phone call. And I don't know if that's just girl world, but it's not a thing that I've ever really done with my buddies. Catch up on like a FaceTime every once in a while on a big event. But like, I was really close with O'Brien last year, and would message with him and stuff. When a few guys got contracts, he'd send out like congrats and things like that. And Mayo and his wife are close with mine, and the family aspect. Everyone's always friends, and that'll never change. I think it's almost like when you're around each other, you talk. But if I'm in Michigan throughout the summer, and these guys are living in Arizona, outside of a text for an important reason, it's kind of not random, but it's just kind of like you don't need to until I see you again, kind of thing. But yeah, coming into town tomorrow, obviously, if they're wherever pregame skate is at the rink and stuff, I'll go out to the bench and say hi to people and coaches. And I was talking with Mitch Stewart, the strength coach, throughout the summer, with a little bit of program stuff and things that we worked on during the year that I liked, and just kind of asked him, what's this, what's that, what do we do at this point? I like the way I felt there. And then obviously Carl Bombardier with the nutrition side, he was a big help last year. And Stan Wilson and the entire equipment staff and people you see, like, I'm actually excited to come back tomorrow, because it's, you feel like that was your family for so long, and get a chance to talk to them all again. And, as quick as it is, it's a nice little reunion. But yeah, I think it's one of those things where, we have a team dinner tonight, but it'd be one of those things where, you shoot a few guys a text and go out to dinner whenever teams come in. Like I do that with Nedeljkovic with the Red Wings. He was at my wedding party and stuff. And whenever they're into whatever team I'm playing for, we're going out to dinner. And when I get into Detroit, if I'm not stopping by the house, I'm usually going out with him and stuff and seeing some friends. So it's kind of, I think it's pretty standard for a lot of guys throughout the year. You got friends on other teams, and they'll link up on them together, but it's not much of a texting combo until you're kind of en route to see them, kind of thing.
Well, we already know that we're not getting the Veggie Wedgie matchup. Connor Ingram's going to play tomorrow, so much to the dismay of the fan base. Are we going to get the other half? Are you going to play?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, they haven't been full up confronted with it, but I'd assume I'd be going again.
So no Wedgie Veggie?
No,
the fan base is going to be clamoring for that. Like, everyone's so disappointed.
Yeah, it's funny. I got Robertson here always kind of jokes on the wedgie here and throws a V in it. I'm like, you wouldn't survive in Arizona with that. You would never. No one would know who you're talking to.
Oh my goodness,
Scott, thank you so much for doing this. I know you just had a travel day. It's a tiring day anyway. You played last night, so really appreciate you joining us on the podcast today.
No worries. Good to talk to you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks, Wedgie.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Guys. We'll talk to you.